The story behind Wicked, the untold tale of the witches of Oz before. Dorothy ever arrived in Oz. Before a yellow brick road became famous, there were two young women, one with emerald green skin and one who sparkled with charm. Their names were Elphaba and Glinda. One of them would grow up to be known as the Wicked Witch of the West, and the other as Glinda the Good. But Wicked tells us their story in a very different way, one that challenges everything we thought we knew from The Wizard of Oz. The origin of Wicked began as a novel written by Gregory Maguire in 1995. His idea was bold. Retell the story of Oz from the perspective of the so-called villain. Instead of asking, "Why is Dorothy so heroic?" Maguire asked, "Why do we call the witch wicked at all?" In his book, Elphaba is born different, marked by her green skin. Society fears and judges her from the start. But her intelligence, passion for justice, and refusal to conform make her unforgettable. The novel caught the attention of composer Stephen Schwartz, who dreamed of turning it into a musical. With book writer Winnie Holzman, Schwartz created the stage version of Wicked, which premiered on Broadway in 2003. The friendship at the center of Wicked is not Dorothy. It's the friendship between Elphaba and Glinda. They start out as complete opposites. Glinda is bubbly, popular, and privileged, while Elphaba is serious, misunderstood, and fiercely independent. At first, they clash. But over time, their relationship deepens into one of the most complex friendships in musical theater. This dynamic challenges stereotypes. Instead of good and evil, Wicked shows us that people are layered, full of contradictions. Glinda isn't purely good, and Elphaba isn't purely wicked. They are human. Well, almost human. Themes and meaning. So what does Wicked really teach us? First, it questions identity. Are we who we are because of how we act, or because of how others label us? Elphaba is called wicked, but in reality, much of her story is about standing up for what's right. Second, it addresses prejudice. Elphaba's green skin is a metaphor for difference. She is judged, excluded, and feared. Sound familiar? It reflects real-world issues of racism, discrimination, and social exclusion. Third, it explores power and politics. The wizard himself isn't a great hero, but rather a manipulator who uses propaganda and fear. Wicked flips the entire story of Oz upside down, asking us, who gets to write history? Who decides who is good and who is wicked? The music and impact, of course. We can't talk about Wicked without talking about its music. Songs like Defying Gravity and For Good became anthems, far beyond Broadway. Defying Gravity is about breaking free from society's expectations and choosing your own path, even if the world calls you wicked. For Good is about the deep mark true friendships leave on us, even when paths diverge. Since opening in 2003, Wicked has become one of the longest-running Broadway shows in history, seen by millions around the world. Its story resonates with teenagers who feel misunderstood, adults who question authority, and anyone who's ever felt like an outsider. A new perspective on Oz. What makes Wicked so powerful is how it transforms a classic story. In The Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch is a one-dimensional villain. In Wicked, she becomes a complex, sympathetic figure, a revolutionary even. It's not really about magic or flying monkeys. It's about empathy. It asks us to look beyond labels, beyond first impressions, and see the humanity in people who are different from us. By the time Dorothy's house lands in Oz, we see that story through entirely new eyes. Suddenly, wicked doesn't mean evil. It might just mean misunderstood. So the untold story of the Witches of Oz is this. Elphaba wasn't simply wicked. She was brave, intelligent, passionate, and flawed, just like all of us. Wicked reminds us that heroes and villains are not as simple as fairy tales make them seem. Sometimes the ones who are feared are actually the ones who fight hardest for justice. And maybe that's why Wicked continues to inspire audiences around the world. Because deep down, we all know what it feels like to be judged, to be misunderstood, and to want to defy gravity.